Welcome to Wisdom Trek with Gramps. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, and we are on day 2910 of our trek. The purpose of Wisdom Trek is to create a legacy of wisdom, to seek out discernment and insights, and to boldly grow where few have chosen to grow before. The title for today's Wisdom Trek is The Unsearchable Majesty, Passing the Torch of Praise Across Generations. On our previous expedition, on day 2908, we concluded our study of Psalm 144 with a breathtaking vision of kingdom flourishing. We listened as King David moved out of the smoky, chaotic fray of battle, praying for sturdy sons, elegant daughters, overflowing barns, and safe city streets, crowning his prayer with that unforgettable, majestic beatitude, "Joyful indeed are those whose God is the Lord." Today, as we step onto a glorious new summit along our multi-month trek through the book of Psalms, we advance directly into Psalm 145, verses 1 through 7. This psalm marks a monumental milestone in our entire series. It is the very last psalm in the Psalter, explicitly attributed to King David, and it functions as a grand royal gateway into the final doxology of the Old Testament. In the preceding Psalms, from Psalm 140 through 144, we heard David crying out in intense distress, begging for rescue from violent men, hidden nets, and deceptive tongues. But here, in Psalm 145, the prayers for deliverance fall silent, and pure, uninhibited kingdom praise takes center stage. David lays down his military sword, picks up his golden harp, and leads the entire cosmos in an eternal song of adoration. The first segment is The Vow of the Viceroy, Exalting the Supreme King. Let us open our hearts to the opening lines of this magnificent acrostic hymn, as recorded in the New Living Translation, grouping together the contiguous, deeply connected thoughts found in verse 1 and verse 2. I will exalt you, my God and King, and praise your name forever and ever. I will praise you every day. Yes, I will praise you forever. David opens this royal anthem with a passionate, deeply personal commitment, shouting, I will exalt you, my God and King, and praise your name forever and ever. I will praise you every day. Yes, I will praise you forever. To fully appreciate the profound revolutionary nature of these opening words, we must view them through the fascinating lens of the ancient Israelite divine council worldview. In the ancient Near East, earthly kings routinely claimed divine status for themselves. Pagan rulers built massive monuments claiming to be absolute lords over their territory, demanding that their subjects bow before their supreme authority. But here stands King David, the undisputed, victorious monarch of Israel, the ruler of an expanding empire, and what does he do? He looks up into the heavens and addresses Yahweh directly as, my God and King. David recognizes a fundamental cosmic truth. His own royal authority is merely derivative. He is not the ultimate sovereign. He is merely the earthly viceroy, the covenant servant of the true king who sits enthroned above the celestial assembly of heaven. Notice, also, the dynamic rhythm of David's devotional life expressed in these two verses. He bridges the immediate present with the infinite future. He declares that he will praise God every day, establishing a discipline of consistent daily worship along the dusty trails of life, while simultaneously declaring that this praise will endure forever and ever. David understands that praising the name of Yahweh, which represents his revealed character, his covenant reputation, and his supreme authority, is not a temporary earthly chore. It is the primary, joyful occupation of human beings and heavenly hosts alike, stretching past the boundaries of mortality directly into eternity. The second segment is The Unsearchable Realm, Cosmic Greatness Beyond Measure. The narrative of David's praise expands rapidly outward from his personal devotion to the infinite reality of God's nature, as recorded in verse 3. Great is the Lord. He is most worthy of praise. No one can measure his greatness. David proclaims with unshakable conviction, Great is the Lord. He is most worthy of praise. No one can measure his greatness. This singular verse serves as the foundational theological anchor for the entire psalm. When David exclaims that Yahweh is great and most worthy of praise, he is making a bold, cosmic comparison against all other powers in existence. In the ancient Israelite worldview, the cosmos was populated by various spiritual beings, angels, guardians, and fallen principalities. But Yahweh stands in a category completely by himself. He is not merely the chief deity among many. He is the uncreated creator, the absolute master of the divine council, and the Lord of all earthly nations. Consider that remarkable phrase, "No one can measure his greatness." In the original Hebrew, it literally reads, "His greatness has no searching out." Every created entity in the universe, whether a human king, a mighty mountain, a blazing star, or a high-ranking angelic spirit, has boundaries, dimensions, and limitations. They can be measured, mapped, and comprehended. But the greatness of Yahweh is unfathomable, bottomless, and infinite. You can swim in the ocean of his glory for 10,000 years, and you will never hit bottom. Because his majesty is completely beyond human and angelic measurement, the praise offered to him can never be exhausted. There will always be new depths of his character to discover and new reasons to lift our voices in awe. The third segment is the legacy of praise, passing the torch across generations. Having established the unsearchable greatness of the king, David turns his attention to how this glorious reality is transmitted through human history, linking his contiguous thoughts together in verse 4 and verse 5. Let each generation tell its children of your mighty acts. Let them proclaim your power. I will meditate on your majestic, glorious splendor and your wonderful miracles. David outlines the divine relay race of truth, praying, let each generation tell its children of your mighty acts. Let them proclaim your power. I will meditate on your majestic, glorious splendor and your wonderful miracles. Here, right at the center of Psalm 145, we encounter the very heart and soul of our Wisdom Trek mission, creating a living legacy. David realizes that the incredible truths of God's redemptive power must never be locked away in the past, nor can they be assumed to automatically transfer to the future. Faithfulness requires an intentional intergenerational handoff. One generation must stand face to face with the next generation, actively recounting the mighty acts and power of Yahweh. In ancient Israel, this meant teaching children about the deliverance from Egypt, the splitting of the Red Sea, the thunderous revelation at Mount Sinai, and the faithful provision in the wilderness. For us today, it means testifying to our children and grandchildren about the ultimate victory of King Jesus and sharing the concrete ways God has proven faithful in our own family histories. Notice, however, that David does not view this intergenerational legacy as a cold academic history lesson. Look at verse 5. He combines public proclamation with deep, quiet, personal contemplation, declaring, I will meditate on your majestic, glorious splendor and your wonderful miracles. The Hebrew phrasing here, had vehadar, describes the radiant, terrifying beauty and regal dignity of a monarch sitting in his heavenly throne room. David takes time to slow down his racing mind, fixing his thoughts on the dazzling splendor of God's character. True legacy flows out of deep, private meditation. When we spend time contemplating the awe-inspiring miracles of God in the secret place, our public testimony to the next generation gains an irresistible, vibrant warmth. The fourth segment is the cascading fountain, awe-inspiring deeds and overflowing goodness. The narrative reaches a magnificent, joyful crescendo as David describes the infectious, widespread impact of God's mighty works, combining his final logical thoughts in verse 6 and verse 7. Your awe-inspiring deeds will be on every tongue. I will proclaim your greatness. Everyone will share the story of your wonderful goodness. They will sing with joy about your righteousness. David envisions a global, resounding chorus of praise, declaring, your awe-inspiring deeds will be on every tongue. I will proclaim your greatness. Everyone will share the story of your wonderful goodness. They will sing with joy about your righteousness. Look at the explosive, cascading language David utilizes here. When God acts in human history to overthrow tyrants, rescue the oppressed, and establish his divine order, his deeds are described as awe-inspiring, or literally, fearful and awesome. These works strike holy terror into the hearts of rebellious spiritual and human powers, while simultaneously filling the hearts of God's covenant people with profound confidence. David pledges that his own voice will lead the charge. I will proclaim your greatness. Then, in verse 7, David uses a fascinating Hebrew verb translated as share the story. In the original text, the word yabu literally means to bubble up, to gush forth, or to fountain out like an unstoppable artesian well. The remembrance of God's abundant goodness cannot be contained, whispered, or hidden in a corner. It naturally boils over into exuberant, collective celebration. When the community of faith contemplates the staggering magnitude of God's Rav Tuv, His immense, overflowing goodness, and His unswerving righteousness, quiet appreciation gives way to exuberant public music. They don't just speak about His righteousness, they burst into joyful song. In the cosmic arena, this gushing praise serves as a public declaration that Yahweh's reign is good, His judgments are flawless, and His kingdom is the ultimate sanctuary for all who seek His face. As we wrap up today's segment of our trek through Psalm 145, let us carry this vibrant torch of praise into our homes, our workplaces, and our communities. We serve a King whose greatness is utterly unsearchable, yet whose intimate, loving goodness gushes forth into our daily lives like an endless spring. Take time today to meditate on His majestic splendor, and don't hesitate to share the story of His wonderful works with the next generation coming up right behind you on the trail. If you found this podcast insightful, please subscribe and leave us a review. Then encourage your friends and family to join us and come along tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, creating a legacy. As we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. Join me next time for more daily wisdom.